Welcome to the Monday, July 3rd, 2023 School Board meeting. Please stand for a moment of silence followed by the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to recognize our Madison High School Beta Club, Ms. Joseph.
Okay, Madam Madam Chair. Hi,
not the
Madam Chair.
superintendent.
Madam Chair, how you doing? Okay, the Beta Club is recently off of a national tour. They went to the National Betas Convention, and we're very proud of them. And I'm gonna let Ms. Suzanne Griffin, who's the official sponsor of that club, come up and do a presentation.
Well, she didn't tell me that I was going to do a presentation.
Not a presentation, you're not gonna do a presentation, you're gonna present your memories. and
First
tell
of
us
all, I
about it.
want to thank you so much for not only allowing us to come tonight, but everything that you did for us to be able to get there. You provided 17 kids from a small town a great learning opportunity, and it really doesn't matter if we won or lost anything. I hope they had a great time. They got to see something other than Madison County. I think they appreciate our county a little bit more. But we just had a neat time. We went to the Louisville Slugger Museum. We saw Muhammad Ali's birth home. We, what else did we do, guys? Oh, we went to the Churchill Downs where the Kentucky Derby, yes. We competed a lot. We went to a lot of competitions. It was 3 days of nonstop, and I could not have done it without my sponsors, my chaperones, Miss Robin Hill. I can't thank her enough for everything she did. Mr. Jonas Chirinos right here, Miss Bridget Goodge, Miss Michelle Rasmussen. They cooked for us. If it had been up to me, we would have had Sam's muffins every day. They cooked amazing meals, and we got to eat out, of course, too. But let me just tell you about our robotics team that won. I still can't believe it. Number one in the nation. Number one in the nation. So Josh Hill, I think you know him. Jonas Chirinos Sanchez and Jamesia Ray stepped in at the last minute because we had John Ramirez was in Mexico and he couldn't compete. Jamesia had taken robotics before, so she stepped right in, and Ms. Good said she did an amazing job. And Ian Rogers is sorry he couldn't be here tonight, but he's adulting. He's in a FAMU class right now. He's gone. We had a team that placed 4th in the nation in collaboration connection, Hope Horn and Bree Rasmussen. There were 3 other members of their group. They could not be here tonight. Girls, help me out. Shakiria McCrary, a senior. Karen Ferguson Connor. And Lucy Frakes. She was out of town. And then everybody competed in something. Fantasia, if you'll stand up, and Bethany, they were in a recycle competition, and there were probably 100 other teams in there. They had to create something, a piece of sporting equipment made from nothing but recyclable materials. They did a basketball goal. Who else? James Dice and Raul Santiago Duarte, they did a duet, Don't Worry, Be Happy. And if that song does not fit James Dice to a T, I don't know. They also had to overcome challenges. It was a trio at state. They won 3rd place in state. One one person could not compete, so they had changed their song. James, I texted him all the time. James, have you done your music? Have you gotten your music stand? No, Miss Griffin, we don't need it. Why don't you need your music? We're going to memorize it. This was like 2 days before the competition. And they did a wonderful job, wonderful job. I think I got everybody. Is that everybody? But again, thank you so much for all you did for us, and we appreciate it so much.
Okay, I want to stand up because I really, I'm heartfelt and I'm just elated at the work that you're doing and the work that Madison County High is doing with our students. And I'm just forever pleased at your rate of achievement. One thing that we talked about in our staff meeting the other day, that we are growing mind and leaders, and this is a true epitome of what we're doing. At Madison County School District, that's what we're doing. We're growing minds and leaders, and thank y'all very much for what you've done. And what you will continue to do, we expect you to excel this next year. Okay, now one person that you forgot to recognize Mr. Ray Griffin.
Mr. Ray Griffin is a godsend. It's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it. And thank God he has stepped up to the plate. We did have T-shirts made on the front. It was maroon with an M. On the back was a circle of all our sponsors. And I should have brought one to show you, but you guys are listed at the very top. So thank you, thank you.
One other thing, we appreciate you. We appreciate you working with kids, and we appreciate you taking the kids from all walks of life to showcase them.
Well,
the district and all of us, we appreciate what you've done. We can't pay you for anything that you do, but we just need to show your appreciation. And this is something that we want to start, and we hope we run out of money doing this. Anyone within our district that make it to national competitions to win, we want to show them a token of appreciation. We don't have that much, but we're going to be here. Each one of two $5 Busy Bee cards, $10. Payment $5. And Miss Tracy Truesdale, she spearheaded the cookies. You want to show them that?
They're so cute.
And again, I appreciate you, what you've done. We appreciate you. We can't pay you for what you've done, but this is just our total to you. Appreciate you putting Madison County on the map.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
and I do want to give credit where credit is due. This could not have happened, the #1 robotics team, had it not been for Bridget Goodge, their robotics teacher. She's amazing. These guys and girls are amazing.
You want to show the board members the cookies?
Yes.
They're very nice.
They are very nice.
Can we just?
I was waiting.
And Rick Patrick told me that this is going to be on the front page of Wednesday's paper, so you might want to pick up a paper on that.
Those are so cute.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you so
Griffin.
much. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming tonight, and we appreciate all the students coming along with you, and we're very proud of all of you, and thank you so
I want
much.
to show you one more thing.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Josh, go ahead.
Take your time.
So, a series of unfortunate events happened at our faith club. One being that we left one of my blankets there in Kentucky. And I said, Josh, I don't care about blankets, don't get me a blanket. Look what they did.
That is awesome.
I love
Look
that.
what they did.
That's awesome.
This was the day, you can tell we're elated, this was the day that the robotics team won number 1.
I love it. Love it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow.
Great job, guys.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
The board?
Yeah.
Can we get a picture of y'all with
Yes, you did.
I didn't even sleep while she was gone.
Young lady.
You want them to come?
Yeah, I wanna come over this way. Come on this way.
We have two amendments to the agenda tonight. We have an addition and a subtraction. We will be adding audit. A request to advertise for the proposal of the auditing services. We'll put that under items for individual consideration, 5.6. Request for advertising for the proposal for auditing services. We will subtract, under items for individual consideration, 5.4, contract with Claire Floyd. We'll be subtracting 5.4. At this point, we'll be adopting the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the agenda.
We have a motion by Ms. Knight, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. All in favor? Becky, 5-0. Comments from the public? 4, consent agenda items. 4.1 minutes, 4.2 contract with K-12 Lift, 4.3 2023-2024 articulation agreement with NFC, 4.4 bus mechanic contract with Joe Graham, 4.5 Lafayette County Inter-District Agreement. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda items.
We have a motion by Ms. Thompson, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, raise your hands. Becky, 5-0. Items for individual consideration. 5.1 personnel changes. Mr. Killingsworth?
Good evening. This evening, we have 4 administrative employee recommendations. One's a coordinator of other programs, 3 are APs. We have 2 instructional recommendations at this time, one at Central, one at Lee. We also have 2 non-instructional employee recommendations. One will be at Central, and one, of course, will be at the district office part-time. And then we have 3 non-instructional recommendations, basically are transfers within the district. And it shows the site that they're moving from and to. And then we have 5 employees under resignation. Part of those are due to maybe some other appointments, 2 or basically retire. So that is the personnel changes that I'm requesting and asking y'all to see.
Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth. Does anyone have a question for Mr. Killingsworth? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the personnel changes?
I move to approve the personnel changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. 5.2, staffing allocation plan. This will be Ms. Sandy, or do we want Ms., did you want to speak, Mr. Killingsworth?
She's got some more recommendations.
Oh,
He's got some more.
Okay, go ahead.
recommendations.
Basically, I have only the few changes that we had the last meeting.
Right.
That we were requesting. However, I have Ms.
It's on the
Sandy
second page.
is here to discuss if you need from BSI to maybe help you out with a little bit of rationale as to why we are requesting to do
Okay.
what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth. Mhm. Okay. Ms. Sandy?
It's 5.1.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Bruska, and I'm the Regional Executive Director for Region 2 under the Bureau of School Improvement with the Florida Department of Education. And Ms. Shirley invited me here to answer some questions or maybe to give you a little background knowledge from our recommendation for Madison Central. Is that correct? So I know that recently it was shared staffing plan for Madison County Central to go to one principal. That was based on a recommendation from us, from myself as the Regional Executive Director and from my supervisor. He is Mr. Dustin Sims, the lead Executive Director for the state. I will say I've been doing this work since 2012. I have never supported a school that had two principals, truly two principals sitting at a school. So K-8 Madison Central was unique, but we went in kind of with good faith, and let's see, right? And but after this year, we did make a recommendation to Ms. Joseph to reconsider having two principals there and going to one principal. We just really experienced a lot of divide in the school. It is a us and them. So this school operates off one MSID number. They pull one school grade, and really, it should be a unified approach to school improvement. We did not see that. We saw that the elementary, K-5 operated in a certain way, and the 6-8 operated in a certain way. They had very different visions for improvement. The school walks would look different. Chris Henderson is our school improvement specialist that is the lead for Madison County Central, and he found himself having to schedule different visits for the elementary side and for the middle school side. He never met with both principals and both leadership teams. It was always very separate. And even when we did data analysis, so we analyze data as it comes available, whether it be district data or state data. We do a big mid-year data dive that includes problem solving, some action steps and things like that. There again, that happens separate. And so we just became more and more concerned around in education for us in school improvement. We have three pillars that we build our work on. And it is transformational leadership, standard-based instruction, and climate and culture, positive climate and culture. Those are our three pillars of BSI. And we believe the most important person in the school is the leader, is that principal. Now, I wouldn't take it away from the coach, and I wouldn't take it away from the teachers, because I think they are the most important people truly. But without that leader, we don't have the support to the coach and to the teachers that is necessary. And so I always think about I kind of referred to it throughout the year as we're all rowing, but are we rowing the same ship, and are we rowing at the same speed in the right direction? And I'm not sure, because I felt like it was very divided. And when I was able to go to Madison County Central too, it just seemed like no one knew what the other was doing. And that would be okay if you were two separate schools. But it's one school pulling one school grade. And so that was a big concern for us. So we did recommend to Ms. Joseph to go with one principal. She could, keeping the admin size the same, adding additional assistant principal if she felt needed, but to really give that one person. I always like to take things out of education for those of us who've been there for almost 30 years. It kind of helps to take out, if you look at any organization out in the business world, there's that one guy, gal, that is that president, that he or she is the last word. But you gotta have that, but you got a lot of people under you kind of guiding and helping and supporting the work, but you need that one person that is the final say. So that was our recommendation. Any questions? I will clean up all the answers.
Well, any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do know that if the last meeting, if it was explained the way that you explained it, this meeting, it would have done a lot more for me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just would. Plus, you know, I've talked to some folks up at DOE and all that stuff since the last meeting, and so I can see the picture a lot better
Yeah. I was gonna say,
than I could the last meeting.
Ms.
I
Thompson?
spoke to Dusty,
Okay.
and he explained it very well, and just like you did, and I think that was the biggest issue for me, was not really knowing the reasoning behind everything. But I spoke to him for probably an hour on the phone, and he was wonderful at explaining everything, and I think, I don't know about everybody else, but I've gotten a lot of calls from the public, asking, why is this back on the agenda again? And so I would like to say, you know, this is something that I feel like had to do a lot of research and get some more information on before we could make an informed decision. So, thank you.
You are very welcome.
Yes.
I always think of it kind of as a parent, you know, those of us who have children, they'll ask mom and then ask dad. And I think some of that happens too when we have two leaders. You gotta have that one leader that's the final say. And that person is really taking care of that whole building, not just part of that building.
Yeah.
Because that divide was really scary to us, if we're trying to get that school grade up.
I got you.
mean, that school grade fell, and so what we were doing, you know, we need to make some changes, so.
Any other questions?
This is not pertaining, but it's pertaining to another school in
Okay.
turnaround. While you're here,
Yes.
Greenville is in turnaround. I don't hear you all saying a thing about Greenville. We had an unqualified principal there. She was not qualified. In turnaround, you have to have experience.
I can speak to that. Would you like
She
me?
can speak.
So what are you doing about Greenville?
Well, we're supporting Greenville. Actually, Greenville Elementary is probably my most fragile school in my
Exactly.
region. It is our only F
No
school. in our
continuity,
region.
no nothing.
Say that one more time.
No continuity with principals.
Well, I'll tell you how that happened. So anytime we have a top school, and Greenville Elementary is a top school. So Greenville's a little different than Madison County Central and Pinetta because they're single deeds. So they're just entering the process. They're not even considered a turnaround school. They're considered an SI, a school group.
I understand all that. I'm saying that they are in turnaround. And what are you doing about that?
So Greenville Elementary is, we recognize that the principal was not the most qualified principal at Greenville Elementary. At the time, we staffed the school the best that Madison County could. We actually, Ms. Joseph actually had a conversation with Jacob Oliva, who was our chancellor senior chancellor at the time with K-12 Public Schools. He gave her permission to have Ms. Bridges there, and until mid-year, and then we would reevaluate at mid-year. So actually, Mr. Oliva, Jacob Oliva at the time, he approved for Ms. Bridges to be at Greenville Elementary.
I understood all that. I knew all that.
Okay.
My question was, what are you doing about it?
We are
The
in there.
Greenville school.
Well,
That's my question.
yeah, and so it's a us, it's a we. So it's what is the district doing, what is the state doing? Because we all have a hand in it.
Exactly. So what are your recommendations? What are you doing?
Well, you have a new principal coming in, correct?
Yes.
But what are your recommendations?
Well, what we're doing from our side is required by state statute. We're required to visit Greenville Elementary twice a month. We actually are now going to be in Greenville Elementary weekly from the State Department. And so we will be monitoring really close daily and weekly data and communicating with Ms. Joseph. So there again, by statute, we're only required to be in there twice a month, but we have committed, and Ms. Joseph and I spoke, we will be in there weekly.
Thank you.
And then just to make sure, if you want me to continue with Greenville, I am very, very proud.
Pardon me.
Because there again, it's a top school, it's in top status. So the district chose, you have multiple options once you hit that top status. So the options are, you can go under a district managed turnaround.
Oh, I understand all this, ma'am. This is not my first rodeo.
Okay.
I've served 14 years before,
Okay, so you don't.
so I understand all that you're,
Any other questions for Greenville
No, ma'am.
Elementary? Okay. Anything for Pine Hill? Okay, well, thank y'all.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve the staffing allocation plan?
I move to approve the staffing allocation plan.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 4-0. Opposed? One opposed. Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth. 5.3, Digital Student Privacy Agreement Template. Mr. Goyette.
Hello. So, as part of the state laws that got passed this past year, as I think we've discussed before, one of them had a big emphasis on student privacy. And one of the things that they want you to do is have written contracts and written privacy agreements with all of your vendors that handle student data, whether it be free or paid vendors. So what I've got before you is kind of the contract template. This was developed by the Student Privacy Alliance, which is a national organization. And then there's a Florida chapter of it that took and conformed it to all the Florida laws, and most of the school districts in Florida use this template. So I just wanted to bring it to get you guys to approve the template, and then as we have vendors sign it, they'll come back before you for formal approval. But this is the template that we'd like to use for the privacy agreements.
Mr. Goya, what's one example of one vendor that we would use this with?
Well, basically all of our learning vendors, so Renaissance, Savvis, McGraw-Hill,
Consultants.
K-12 Lift, I mean, anyone that handles student data in any capacity. Microsoft and Google will also sign it. Anywhere the student data flows, anybody that looks at it should be covered by one of these.
Any questions for Mr. Goyette?
Is there a timeline that these need to be done? Like, do you have a timeline, like, kind of?
I mean, it's in law now as a
Gotcha.
requirement, and it's going to be a year-long process.
I was gonna say, yeah.
We're working through, especially because we have privacy clauses in a lot of our contracts, but we've never had a district-driven
I got you.
contract.
Yeah.
So,
It seems like a tedious process.
it is. Now, thankfully, most every vendor that we deal with, your large districts have already dealt with.
Okay, yeah.
And so, and it's state law, so
Okay.
they're expecting it. One reason that we use this template is they know what's in it. Their lawyers have already reviewed it.
Okay.
So they've been pretty good just to start signing them, from what I've heard from other districts.
Okay.
A lot more than previous. Years ago, it used to be like holy teeth, but the law made a big difference.
Is this different than that, what I emailed you about?
Okay,
Ms. Shirley?
Mr. Goya, this tutor.com is from the U.S. Senate. I talked with you about that letter.
Yeah, so Senator Rick Scott sent that out. Appreciate him doing that because it was not very well known. I didn't know about it. But we don't do any business with tutor.com or Princeton Review. That was the other one, right? Yeah, we don't do any business with either of those.
Good deal.
And in the future, we will have signed an agreement with them, not an agreement, we will sign this contract before we would release any of our data.
Right,
And so it sort of backdoor addresses this.
okay.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Do we have a motion to approve the digital student privacy agreement template?
I move to approve the digital student privacy agreement template.
We have a motion by Ms. Thompson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Goya.
Can I make a comment about this? Okay, so, Mr. Goyette, in the future, all we would need to do is bring the name of the company back to the board because we have approved the contract. Is that,
We'll bring the signed copy of that.
we'll bring the signed copy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put them on the
With the
consent
contract.
agenda, just for
Yeah.
formal acceptance.
Okay.
Using this
So-
template, that's, as long as that satisfies.
And also, our attorney has reviewed this contract, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
5.5, permission to advertise code of student conduct. Mr. Williams?
Good evening. Yes, ma'am, so we are coming, asking that we have permission to advertise the code of conduct. You guys have a copy of it, as the changes have been made already. If you'll notice that it's a little smaller because a lot of the parent information and parent details were taken out to be placed in a parent handbook that Ms. Steele has put together. So we felt that we should take that out to all the parent information together. And most of this is dealing with student discipline, student conduct, so on and so forth. If you printed a copy of it, you see a lot of red in there. Most of the red is what we've taken out. Some of the red is
But you
what
can't
we've
read it.
changed. Ma'am,
You can't read it.
that was a lot of work. But again. a
That
lot-
red covers up all the writing. You can't read under the red.
I was gonna say, my digital copy doesn't have any red at all.
You wanna see mine?
Depends on the mode that you're looking at.
Okay.
If you include the markup, then it'll show.
Okay.
There, this is what I have. You wanna see mine? See if
Oh,
you
I
can read it.
see. I see.
Okay.
So I'll highlight a
Can you
couple
read
things.
that?
No, I think that's my question.
So are we gonna workshop this?
I'm going to
Ms. Joseph?
suggest a workshop on next Monday at same time.
Is that okay with the board?
What's the 10th? Is it the 10th?
The 10th.
That works for me.
I will be out of town.
Oh, you'll be out.
Well,
How about Tuesday?
our Mondays are taken care of. You have any other day other than Monday?
How about
Because
Tuesday?
we've got
What days work
trim
for
coming
you?
up.
I'll be out for Monday and Tuesday next week.
I'm open next week, so I'm good with,
I'm here Monday, Tuesday, I'm gone the rest of the week.
okay. So
Wednesday, are you available Wednesday?
No,
She's
I'm
gone-
leaving
she's-
Tuesday night, I'll be gone for a week.
Okay. The following week, we have a board meeting. Do you want a workshop before the board meeting?
I'm fine with that.
That'd be the 17th.
Okay,
Prior to.
the reason I want to have the workshop as soon as
We need to
possible.
have one.
Okay, the advertised items, this has to be advertised for 28 days. Okay, if the board decides to advertise, okay, we're gonna have a workshop. Is there some minor changes we don't have to re-advertise? Now, if we have major changes, we're gonna have to re-advertise. We're trying to have this ready by
Start.
board meeting, start a board meeting. And so if we wait
Okay.
until the 17th, 28 days, school will
School's
have
already
begun.
started, yeah.
Okay, and then we have to
Well, when
print.
was it done last year?
How about this week?
When did you all have it last year?
This week.
Three months
No.
into the school
I don't
term?
have time this week.
Okay.
So I mean, a couple more days, to
Okay.
having a workshop to avoid all this confusion.
We can have it, I was just telling you the timeline that we're dealing with. We can have it next week or week after next.
Or if you
Did-
have any questions, you could.
Did-
We still need a
I need
workshop.
a workshop, honey.
We still need a
Did
workshop.
someone say the 12th was not good
No,
Wednesday?
I'll be gone.
Okay, you'll be gone for the rest of that week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and so we do it the 17th.
The
Do we
7th.
want it before the board meeting or after the board meeting? Okay,
Before,
I'd say before.
okay, how long before, are we talking about 1 hour?
hours.
I'd
2
like-
hours?
I think we should
So
be at
we
least
should
2
start
hours.
this at 4 o'clock?
To
4 o'clock on the
4 o'clock?
17th? That gives us 2 hours to workshop it.
That works for me.
That's fine.
And then if we don't complete it, we can complete the rest at another day.
Okay, so
I think
we'll,
what could speed it up is if you got any glaring questions, if you email me.
I just can't read none of this pink stuff, all this stuff in the pink. Did you see the printout that we have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I can't read any of that, so I won't, you know.
Mine still is not opening with any of the markups on it for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm on this and not on
it
a
didn't show on
laptop.
my computer.
Yeah, I'm
It,
not sure.
it doesn't,
I can read it on the computer.
it's not showing up. So
Even a copy on the board docs, it may just be an iPad, that's what.
I was gonna say it might be, it's not showing up. So are there any like major changes that you could highlight?
I've got the cell phone policy. I want you all to look at that individually because this is the one I want to publish on our website. So to take care of any, I didn't know. And it's the major changes to this policy, this procedure.
Well, I want to know the changes that were made and why were those changes made?
Well, there's some additions and some updates.
And then if you added anything, I want to know why those were added.
Okay.
There's a lot that's just taken out. We're putting it in a parent guide rather than the student code.
And then, do you have that parent guide ready?
We're working on it.
Can we have a draft of that? So we'll know what's going in we know what's going in the guide, but have we had that parent guide before?
We have not.
That's exactly.
I like that
We
idea.
had a long time
We used
ago.
to have it a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
We haven't had it in a while.
Well, when it's ready, we can probably get a copy, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get a copy of it, but we have to approve that too.
I want you to look at this cell phone policy. Oh, it's not a policy. Okay, this is what we want, this is what we desire to put in the student code of conduct about cell phone. And I want you to look at this today, if possible, that I can start advertising with your approval on the website, so parents, but that's has been one of our biggest headaches, biggest conversation pieces is about cell phone. And legislature made it possible this year for we can say no cell phones in the classroom during instructional time. And we want to go a little further. Now, here's there's one over here.
Now, wasn't that a policy right now?
There was
You want to answer that?
the legislature came up with, basically the law says that we now have the right to confiscate cell phones that are used during instructional time.
Okay, so we have the repercussions then if they disobey that rule then.
Yeah, in the past, parents can say, that's not your phone, you can't take my phone.
Okay, I got you.
But now the law gives us the right to confiscate it. So basically it says that when teachers can have a place in the back of the classroom or someplace in the classroom where they can ask students to put their phones. Students can either put them in that place or keep them on their own. But if it comes on, if it's out, or if it's whatever during instructional time, then the teacher has the right to take it.
And this new procedure, the high school is allowing for the students to have access to the phones during lunchtime only. For K-8, it's allowing the students to not have usable access to the phone at all.
So they can have them on them, they can't use them.
You can have them in their backpack,
In
turned
their
off.
backpacks, put away,
Yes.
or locked up, or however they want to do it, but they can't have them out.
But I need your blessings from this. Do you want to wait till the 17th before I start putting it on the website so we can acclimate the parents to the new
I
way
haven't
of
had
doing
time. I
business?
know I can't absorb this today and give you an answer on this today. I know what the new laws are. And then all this other stuff, I just can't rush into it. I have to read it and go over it in my mind and absorb and have the questions and answers that I need to write down, that I need to ask. Questions and answers, the whys and hows of this and that and whatever. So I won't be able to do it today. Y'all board members do what you want.
No, I think we need to act as a group on this.
Madam Chair, may I just say something for the board to consider? As a retired teacher, going back to work, to me, the issue with the cell phone that I've noticed is inconsistency of enforcement amongst the teachers. As an old school teacher, I adhere to the policy. Whatever the board says is the policy, that's what I abide by. But you have like 3 or 4 generations between me and what we have in the classroom now. And that's the issue. Children are going to be children. If I say no in my classroom, but everybody else is allowing cell phone usage, that presents a problem. So the problem is really not with the students. Get my drift. So if y'all think about that.
And let's call you an experienced teacher.
Thank you.
You are an experienced teacher.
I believe
Not an
that in
old teacher.
all of these things, that it ought, if it says it, it ought to be what it says, no matter who you are, or
Let everybody follow.
let everybody, because it's not fair, it's not fair if, because kids get confused.
That's right.
They go in this class and they get to, they go in this class, they can't. They go in this class and some of them can and some of them can't.
You said it perfectly. It's consistency. It is consistency.
That's a key
It's-
thing.
Yes.
Coming from the high school, I always believe in educating kids and showing them the policy. So in my classroom, I actually keep a copy of the code of student conduct, and the part that is, deals with the cell phone, I have it highlighted, I read it to them, I allow them to read it. This is not Ms. Hubbard's rule, this is what the school board passed, and this is what we will abide by. But I'm one person.
Ms. Joseph?
Yes, sir.
Was you wasn't, was you just asking us to, so you could advertise just the cell phone policy?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
Or the
so,
whole thing?
no, we're not ready to advertise. Okay, wait.
Okay.
We're ready to advertise the whole document, but I wanted to pull that cell phone policy out so we'll zero in on it rather than just looking at the whole booklet, because you know, we read the front
Right,
part
right,
of it and the last part of it, and we don't see the cell phone
Well, you
until.
can put it up for
Okay.
consideration for adoption.
Right.
You can put that on the way up for.
And I can
say
put
this is what's
draft
gonna
on
be
it.
The
considered.
cell phone.
Okay,
actually,
no,
right
the motion is for have everything advertised. Okay, but I want to advertise the cell phone separately in addition. The cell phone is included in the booklet, but I want to pull that cell phone thing, policy out and do that separately also. Are you hearing what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you just
I
trying to
hear what
make
you're
us
saying.
aware of this cell phone business right here?
Yes.
Because like we said, there's already something in place about cell phones at the high school. So, in other words.
I think what she's trying to do is
So-
get the awareness out there,
Well,
even
we're-
though we're trying.
Right.
It's
And
just so
you don't
that
need an
people,
additional,
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
You don't need an additional advertisement. You can put it on the web and pay close attention to this. This is in the,
This is in the making.
this will be in the
In the
making.
making.
I think what she's trying to do is that even though we've had policies in the past, you always get parents that call students during the daytime
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Right.
And at least you'll be covering the district basis by saying,
And-
by, pointing that out already, that it's not okay to call kids.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with letting people be aware of what's happening at the legislature. In other words, we're following the rules that have come down to us, so it's, go ahead. Yeah.
The statute they're talking about has added a provision, so there always was a provision that said that a student was allowed to possess a wireless communication device at school. So it's added a provision that says, however, a student may not use a wireless communication device during instructional time except when expressly directed by a teacher solely for educational purposes. Now, that to me doesn't look like the legislature's asking y'all's opinion on any of that.
No.
It's saying that's what the law is. I don't think there's any reason the superintendent can't go ahead and
But she
put
has
that on.
added extra.
Ma'am?
Did you hear her say she has added extra? She has put more meat than what the legislature's called for.
I wasn't finished, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't think there's any reason, though, the superintendent couldn't put that provision there on the website and say that's what's going to happen, so everybody gets all the notice they can. The next part is that the school board is to adopt rules. Our rules do need to change, but your rule is not going to be able to say anything other than what's in that statute as far as that goes. So I think you can kind of do both things is my point. I don't think there's any reason you can't go ahead and put on the website that statutory provision so that everybody gets as much notice as possible, and then we can start the rule adoption.
So that's what I was
Okay.
thinking. You could put it on there, but we don't have to vote on it tonight. You
No, no,
advertise it.
No.
That's right.
Any more questions for Mr. Williams? Do we have a motion to approve to give permission to advertise the Code of Student Conduct?
Madam Chair, I move to allow advertisement of the student code of conduct.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Knight, second.
A second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. All right, thank you, Mr. Williams.
And we do understand if it's major changes, we'll have to vote to re-advertise again.
Yes.
If it's only minor changes, we're good.
Okay, sounds good. So right now, we're set for the 17th of July at 4 o'clock, workshop. Okay, 5.6, request for proposal for auditing services. Ms. Rainick? Request for advertising for proposal for auditing services. Okay,
Good evening.
good evening.
That is exactly what we're asking for, permission to advertise a bid process. Because your policy 6830 for external audit says that every 5 years you should be advertising for that process. The process by state statute has to be completed within 9 months of the close of the year. We're at the close of the year, so we're trying to get it advertised so that then we can have a selection committee selected and be able to look at it realistically and have time to ask for presentations back and forth. We have, the document you're looking at is a template. That what we did is we added our dates and our times and our contact information, but it's basically a template that says we want a certified public accounting firm to come in and look at our internal accounts.
Wait a minute, Rose. What was passed out wasn't the template. It was the,
That's in the, but this is in the, did you put it in there?
The template's on the, it's on the thing.
It's on the.
It's on board
The
docs,
template's
or
on board
on
docs.
our email.
all right.
Okay.
Email over.
This was just my email that said how to appoint the audit committee, so this you'd get to later. It's not.
I think the superintendent wanted to make sure you had copies of the statutes and the policies to know that. And what we're doing is we're asking you for permission to advertise so we can get this out there and we can look at potential accounting firms to look at our internal audits.
Okay, how does this different from what's been done already, what we normally do with our auditor?
Well,
It's in here, 5 years.
You just didn't get a
yeah,
bid.
typically, every several years, we're supposed to go out and we're supposed to advertise a bid competition for that. That is not only in our purchasing policy, but it's also in the department's policy for taking care of purchasing and that type of thing. So we're going out for it. It's not to say we may not end up with the same auditing
Okay.
person. It's just to say that we're going out for bids.
I got you.
Yeah. Now, it does require that the board appoint an audit selection committee that has to have one board member, and it has to have at least 2 other people that are not from the district. So there are, potential community members who you might select. And then those would be the people, whoever responds to the RFP, those would be the people who look at the RFP and look at the proposal and decide whether or not they want to recommend it to the board. This is not asking for you to recommend anybody, it's just asking for you to advertise. And select a committee.
Yeah, I was about to say, the board's got
I'm sorry,
to
and
select a
select a
committee.
committee. That's important.
But just to be clear, the committee is going to make a recommendation to this board. The final decision is this board's. So, but you do want to have a committee because they're going to take time and go through everything, and, you know, and all that. So I think the issue one is, do you want to do the RFP? Number two, you need to pick one board member to be on the committee. And then number three, you need to find 2 other people to be on the committee.
When does that have to be done?
Well,
Tonight?
It's a timeline in here.
when is when are the proposals due back?
The proposals would not be due back until about the 13th,
Right here.
Right.
I had the workshop there.
Yeah.
You could look at it even at the workshop if you wanted to, you could look at it at the workshop.
Well, but the,
The committee has to should make a recommendation by the end of the month. If we make it by the end of the month, that will give us time to
Yeah.
award the document, and it'll give them time to get their audit reports to us. Last year, our audit report came in as not a final document. It came in late December, just before we go for Christmas. And it really pushes the auditors back because they have to get their final audit out before February. So we didn't have the internal accountants back until very late. So that's why we're trying to get it advertised now, so that we can know who those people will be.
so if you're going to appoint somebody, you've got the RFPs are due back on the 13th. You've got the 14th. Do we have a meeting on the 14th? No, the 13th. And then the calendar we've got set has the 24th would be when y'all would try to appoint somebody. So you would either need to, you could do your appointment on the 24th. That gives them 10 days to make a recommendation back to you. If you could do it before then, that would probably be better, but I don't know that you're going to have another meeting between now and then.
Wouldn't it be better if we had a volunteer for that? In other words, it would be someone, one of the board members may be wanting to do that. Rather than just keep saying appoint. I mean, we're not going to really appoint anyone, are we? We're going to ask for a volunteer.
By appoint, if you mean a paid employee, the answer is no, you would not
You're talking about a
appoint.
board
By
member.
appoint, if you mean
No, I'm talking about
designate.
the board member. You said you had to have one board member on there.
On the
I'm not
committee.
following, I'm so sorry. You got to have 3 people,
One's
one
a-
board
one's a
member,
board member.
2 non-board members, 2 non-employee,
Okay, well, I'm
not
talking-
superintendent, not board member.
Okay, I'm
Board member
talking,
can volunteer.
I'm talking about the one board member. One of them may decide they're interested, you know, they would like to be on this committee.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah,
certainly.
that's all I
Yeah.
said.
I
didn't-
volunteer.
didn't-
Okay.
Oh, we already have a volunteer. Okay, well,
So, well, first thing is though, y'all need to decide to issue the RFP. So, you probably need a motion and a second to issue the RFP. The request for proposals, I'm sorry, the bid process, I'm sorry.
okay.
And when you're doing professional services.
Are we
it's a-
doing that now?
The agenda was amended so that you may do that
You may
now.
do
You
it.
are not compelled to do
Okay.
that now. So yes, if you want to make a motion to do that, the board is free to do that,
Okay, well, let me talk to you for a minute before I pass on.
okay?
It's already,
You-
we
the-
went back and forth
Right.
about 10
The-
times this weekend.
The issue is, do you wish to issue an RFP, a request for proposal?
Okay.
What you're doing is you're announcing to the public in general, we're accepting proposals for auditing services. And so the board would have to do that. The board would have to issue the RFP, and that's the motion that you're seeing if a board member wants to make.
You
Okay,
want to bid on someone to do your internal audit.
right. Do we have a motion for the RFP? Excuse me.
Madam Chair, I move to put in the request for the RFP audit process.
We have a motion by Ms. Knight, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0.
Okay? And now you need to decide on the school board member. So
Okay.
you've got a volunteer, you need a motion and a second to vote to
Okay.
appoint the school board member.
Do we have a motion to approve Ms. Hagan as
I
our?
move to
Well,
approve Ms. Vieta Hagan.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
A second.
Second by Ms. Thompson. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0.
Okay? And so you can either appoint the other 2 members of the audit committee, you can either appoint tonight, or you can appoint at your next meeting, which would be the 13th.
Wouldn't they have to ask them if they want to be on there?
I would think you would.
I would think so.
Yes.
Okay, we better wait until
Okay.
we'll wait on that, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And those supposed to be citizens of the community?
Yes.
Yes,
ma'am.
they cannot be
members.
employees.
And not employees of the district.
Non-employees.
Thank you, Ms. Hagan. Ms. Joseph,
Oh, okay.
we're down there already.
Yeah, we're down here already. Okay, a couple of things. I would like to officially congratulate the board on completing the master board training. The master board training is designed to concentrate on developing leadership skills and enhancing a leadership team's ability to work effectively as a governance team to positively impact student achievement. And we went through, 3 or 4 days of that, and so we have officially completed master board training. And I'd like to say congratulations to you. And if you've been looking on our district webpage, picture have been posted for a couple of days. Okay, the schools, the state also issued some more scores, and I put out some, our assessment coordinator have put together some more documents for me to share with you. And at our first meeting in August, I will have each principal here to address how they will be addressing these issues, or how they will continue on the upward trend or downward trend they're going with their grades. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Mr. Reeves?
No, ma'am. No, unless y'all have questions of me.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Reeves? Okay. Again, I'd like to congratulate the Beta Club and thank the teachers, Ms. Griffin and Ms. Goose, for what they do each and every day, along with all of our other teachers and staff. It's an honor to be recognized, and I know it took a lot of hard work on their part and dedication. Thank you.
I just would like to thank the entire staff, school staff.
Mr. Carroll?
I appreciate what everybody does for our system and our kids, and I appreciate, I'm gonna tell you, I appreciate Ms. Hubbard coming to the meeting.
Yes.
I do. I really do. I know you will.
Amen.
I know you will. But I appreciate, and I appreciate those kids that went off and done so well. You know, that's a big time thing. I'd have loved to seen Muhammad Ali's home place myself, but that's really special for those, and they'll remember that the rest of their lives.
Yes, they will. Ms. Thompson?
I just want to say thank you to all of our staff. I hope you all are having a wonderful summer break. If you're on summer break, and if you're not, I hope you're enjoying some downtime maybe. I just want to say I hope all of you have a wonderful holiday tomorrow. And again, thank you to our Beta Club and all of the wonderful sponsors that made that possible for them. That's all I have.
Ms. Knight?
And I get to say ditto to all of the above, and I just want to say I hope everybody has a happy, safe 4th of July, and, you know, we'll see you next meeting, hopefully more in person. Parents, come visit us, come give us your feedback, we'd love to see you.
Thank you. One last thing, I'd like to recognize the officer with us tonight, Officer Greg Ray from the Madison County Sheriff's Department. We appreciate what you do each and every day. Thank you. All those in favor of adjourning, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0.